We are just days away from a historic trial inside the Texas Senate. What to expect from the impeachment of Ken Paxton. And some are calling it the summer of the strike. A look back at all that's happened and what the president has to say about it.
And an unusually hot Labor Day, but we do have some signs of hope on the horizon. Stick around for First Warning Weather.
In just a few days, Texas senators will take on a constitutional duty that few senators in the state's history have faced before acting as jurors in a court of impeachment. Suspended Attorney General Ken Paxton will be the first statewide elected official in a century to face an impeachment trial with a host of allegations in which he denies all wrongdoing. Our Capitol correspondent Monica Madden details the 20 articles of impeachment.
We will not tolerate corruption, bribery, abuse of office, retaliation.
At the end of May, the Republican-led Texas House made history in an overwhelming vote to impeach Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton.
And either this is going to be the beginning of the end of his criminal reign, or God help us with the harms that will come to all Texans if he is allowed to stay the top cop.
Now the Senate is tasked with a responsibility of equal gravity after a summer of attorneys making their case to the public.
Ken Paxton will never be convicted by the Senate. Not on this evidence, not with this record, and not when the fact is the allegations are completely untrue.
And I promise you, it's 10 times worse than has been public, and that is you think.
Paxton denies any and all wrongdoing. Senators will have to decide if there's enough proof Paxton committed impeachable offenses and if it's enough to remove him from office.
The allegations are relatively comprehensive allegations that he abused the authority of his office, mostly to help a particular donor, but also to avoid some scrutiny himself.
Trial law experts like Mike Golden note at the center of most of the accusations is a man named Nate Paul, a campaign donor and friend of Paxton's. The articles claim Paxton went to great lengths to help Paul, accepting bribes, misappropriating public resources, and conspiring to conceal his relationship with Paul and a woman Paxton allegedly had an affair with. Many of the accusations come from former top officials in the AG's office.
I think the most serious allegations are the ones that relate to the claim that Paxton attempted to interfere with ongoing criminal investigations into a donor and friend. If the evidence convinces the senators that the FBI was investigating Nate Paul and that Paxton used the powers of his office and taxpayer dollars to interfere with that investigation, I think that's going to be the most important allegations to the senators.
Monica Madden, KXAN News.
Now, senators will only be voting on 16 of the 20 articles he was impeached on in the House. There are 4 articles related to Paxton's 2015 securities fraud indictment, which are being handled separately in the criminal court system, which is why they're left out for now. News out of Hutto today, a child drowned at a neighborhood pool on Sunday, according to a City of Hutto spokesperson. It happened at a pool off Great Western Drive near the park at Brushy Creek. A real estate listing for a nearby home shows a photo of a pool with a sign out front that says, "Warning, no lifeguards on duty. Children not allowed to use pool without adult supervision." The listing was last updated on May 31st. Now, KXAN has reached out to the neighborhood for comment. We'll give you any updates we receive if we receive a response. After years of battling health problems, former Smash Mouth frontman Steve Harwell, best known for songs like All Star and Walkin' on the Sun, has died. Harwell's manager told TMZ that the 56-year-old singer had suffered from alcohol abuse for years and that he had reached the final stages of liver failure, which he had recently been receiving treatment for. He retired from the band back in 2021. Harwell was 56.
First Warning Weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, so glad we still have somewhere to cool off these days in Central Texas. The Highland Lakes busy and looking inviting here. Lake Marble Falls on one of our live weather cams on KXAN.com. 102 degrees on this Labor Day evening. It's down to 99 in Austin, but triple digits from Georgetown to San Marcos and 101 out in Marble Falls officially. Most triple digit heat days, we're edging closer and closer to the all-time record of 90 from back in 2011. Today, if you're keeping track at home, the 73rd day this year of 100 or hotter in Austin. And coming up, it gets worse before it gets better, but we will see both. Record warm nights, record hot days, and when a little improvement is on the way.
David, thanks so much. This year's Labor Day comes as strikes continue to get national headlines, with industries from screenwriting to nursing having organized protests all year round. Tom Dempsey has more on what's being called the Year of the Strike.
For the past few months, the United States has witnessed what some describe as the summer of strikes. From UPS workers threatening a massive walkout that would have led to a supply chain disruption, to Ford and General Motors auto plants in Detroit still facing possible walkouts later this month.
All we've tried to do in this is prepare everybody so in the event that we have to take action to get a fair and just contract for you, that we're prepared for it.
In Hollywood, screenwriters and actors have been striking since May, calling for more protections and compensation. It's left many fan favorites on pause. They were joined in June by workers at more than 100 Starbucks stores nationwide, and hospitality workers in LA who walked off the job in July. Concerns being voiced in multiple industries as the country marks Labor Day.
Just corporate versus the little man. It doesn't matter where you're at, if you're a mailman, whatever labor you're in, whatever, if you're in another union or anything like that, we're fighting for everybody.
Now, as the 2024 presidential race continues to gain steam, President Biden has leaned into his support with unions, his team recently touting its investments in manufacturing, which it says will lead to more jobs.
Unions raise standards across the workforce and industries, pushing up wages and strengthening benefits for everyone.
But with Americans still paying more at grocery stores and gas pumps, Republicans plan to keep inflation and the economy in the spotlight. Senate Republicans recently posted to social media, quote, "Everything is more expensive and Joe Biden thinks he can convince Americans otherwise. The American people are smarter than that."
President Biden has been busy surveying the damage of a number of places in the country, with one exception: his reason for not visiting the site of the East Palestine chemical spill. President Biden has seen the destruction from both Hurricane Idalia and the Maui fires, but not the chemical spill in East Palestine, Ohio. Kelly Meyer has more on why the president says he hasn't yet had time.
Well, I haven't had the occasion to go to East Palestine. There's a lot going on.
President Biden claiming he hasn't had the time to go to East Palestine, Ohio, the site of a catastrophic train crash 7 months ago. The community is still dealing with contaminated air and water. The president promising East Palestine residents will have what they need.
We're making sure that East Palestine has what they need materially in order to deal with the problems.
President Biden has spent much of August away from Washington, on the road selling his economic agenda, hosting a summit at Camp David, or at the beach. Biden spent a week in Delaware at the beginning of August for summer vacation. By mid-August, he was in Lake Tahoe. President Biden back at the beach this weekend as he returns from Florida after touring the damage left behind from Hurricane Idalia. Biden visiting Florida just days after the storm hit. The president still facing criticism for how long it took him to visit Maui after the deadliest wildfire in U.S. history. Instead, vacationing over that weekend in Lake Tahoe.
The president is certainly deeply concerned about the people in Maui, to the point where he has mobilized a whole of government approach here.
New metrics to measure school success in Texas, why some schools are bracing for a lower report card.
Well, before this summer out at the airport, the longest stretch of 100-degree days in a row was 23 days. Today, number 38 consecutively, 103 today at Austin Bergstrom. Coming up, I'll show you the record heat that we're in store for over the next few days, but also some rain that may be on the way.
The Texas Education Agency is set to release school scores this month, and districts are bracing for lower grades. Now, this follows the TEA announcing new metrics for its A through F ratings. KXAN investigator reporter Kelly Wiley reports that another local school district is joining an ongoing lawsuit against the state's education commissioner over these changes, and there could be more.
This is bonkers. It's absolutely infuriating.
The fairness in the accountability system is in question right now. Pflugerville ISD is the latest school district to join a lawsuit against the Texas Education Commissioner.
7-0. We're joining the lawsuit.
Yes, ma'am.
For our kids.
Already 7 school districts, including Del Valley ISD, have joined this lawsuit, alleging TEA didn't give them the legally required amount of notice before applying these new metrics. The districts say these new methods will dramatically decrease their campus and district scores. TEA officials say they can't comment on ongoing legal matters, but on the agency's website, it says the changes will better reflect rigor for students, fairness for districts and campuses, and transparency for parents and the public. Here's what Commissioner Mike Morath said about the refresh back in May.
As schools are improving, parents need to know that, and if schools are not, if they're regressing, then parents need to know that as well.
I think, we're going to see statewide probably a decline in scores and a decline in ratings.
At a board meeting at the end of August, Austin ISD school officials said TEA data estimates if the new state metrics were applied to the 2022 campus results, more than 20% of AISD campuses would have lower scores, and only 9% would have seen an increase.
I have a concern about when ratings come out, that there will be misunderstanding and a mass exodus. We need to have a good messaging around these scores and what they really mean.
And there are a lot of changes. A lot of it is around the grading scale for what scores qualify as an A versus a B or a C. Previously, if 60% of a high school campus's population was considered college, career, and military ready, that campus would get an A. Now, a campus would need an 88% to get an A in that category.
This is kind of a lot for us parents to digest. Can you give us another example that maybe helps us understand?
Absolutely. So the scale has also changed for graduation rates. That's considered what's your graduation rate for your campus? That goes into this score. And then you'll remember STAR results also goes into this score, but the STAR test is different now too. The STAR test results that they're considering are off of a completely redesigned test. So there's a lot of new that's going into these scores, and that's what's really got these school districts nervous.
You explain it really well. Don't quiz me on it though. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today in studio.
Thank you.
There's also been a recent change in how school districts can deal with students caught vaping or using e-cigarettes. A new law, which went into effect on Friday, gives districts the option to place those students into an alternative education program. House Bill 114 amends the Texas Education Code to include an alternative to automatic expulsion. The new state law includes any student that is caught vaping within 300 feet of a school or any school-related off-campus event. If a student is caught, the vaping device, e-cigarette, or any vaping accessories can be taken from that student and then destroyed. Cameron County District Attorney Luis Saenz says when cases like this are brought to his office, he has to follow the law and indict them even if they're students.
Anybody that's charged with a vaping crime, be it the possession or be it the possession of the oil, is charged with a felony.
If there is no room for the student in the alternative education program, school districts have the option to transfer an offender back to in-school suspension.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, 5:17 on your Labor Day evening, and a few boaters and swimmers wrapping up their holiday weekend. The Sometimes Island's very prominent. Unfortunately, even on a nice-looking shot, 102 at the Oasis camera over Lake Travis. Lake Travis's level has not been this low on Labor Day weekend in 9 years. It was 2014 when the lake was last this low or lower in September. Incredible. A few isolated showers kind of teasing our easternmost counties. These are nowhere near Austin and not coming our way. A couple may get clipped here in eastern Fayette and Lee counties, but the chance of rain this evening is less than 10%, so your evening plans look fine. Don't forget to hydrate this evening if you're out and about grilling in the backyard. Partly cloudy skies through dinner time. These upper 90s to near 100 eventually fall below 90 degrees by 9 or 10 p.m. These isolated showers today just east of our area, and for one more day in our area tomorrow, they're courtesy of a little slow-moving low-pressure system, the same one that's kind of been sitting to our east for several days. Eventually, though, as we think about the coming work and school week, this thing is out of here, and the dreaded heat dome builds back big and strong just to our west. This is going to lead to days of back-to-back record heat before anything improves. Let me show you tomorrow the one little chance of light rain that some of us have. Partly cloudy and dry in the morning, lots of sunshine by midday Tuesday. But Tuesday afternoon, we could see a couple isolated afternoon storms firing up in our easternmost counties. Notice Fayette, Lee, Bastrop counties. These are some of the most likely areas to see rain. But overall, only about a 10% coverage. So most of us, especially from Austin through the Hill Country, do not see any rain tomorrow, nor do we all week. You may have noticed this morning and today it's muggy out there. The sweatiness is back. The muggy meter is not only high for September, it is way up into our highest categories, oppressive or even tropical, over the next several days. So it's going to feel even hotter than these temperatures look, and even the temperatures by themselves over the next week average out to our hottest second week of September by a long shot in Austin record-keeping history. A lot of these are records through the rest of the week, but notice temperatures do start to trend down, granted not to where they should be this time of year, about 94, as a few slight chances of rain come in later in the 7-day forecast. Next weekend, a couple isolated showers and storms become more possible, but notice the rain accumulations are still light and they're still scattered. We are, though, seeing some better signs of optimism beyond the 7-day outlook. 8 to 14 days out, this is next work week. Wetter than normal weather may come into our area from the north. This doesn't look like the kind of rain that we need, but it does look like some of the best chances that we've seen in a while, and temperatures next week should edge under 100. So we can look forward to that. As far as relief coming from the tropics, we don't have any anytime soon. We are watching a couple disturbances, though, in the open Atlantic close to Africa with good likelihoods, even guarantees of development over the next several days. This wave in front especially has my attention. Let me run out our long-range European model, and you can see this likely turning not only into a named tropical storm, but maybe into a major hurricane about a week from now as it clips north of the Puerto Rico and U.S. Virgin Islands. After that, is this a threat to Texas, Florida, or the east coast of the U.S.? Well, Texas, it looks like a big no as of right now, and even the east coast may be spared. A big dip in the jet stream, this is 10 days out, keep in mind, is expected to currently sweep this thing back out to sea. Of course, we have plenty of time to watch it since it hasn't even developed, but doesn't look like a massive threat right now. We'll keep you advised. Tonight's forecast, record-tying warm, low temperatures, only 79, tying the record from 2015. Tomorrow's not quite a record, but it will be very hot at 104, just a little 10% chance of rain. Look at this, not only record warm nights, but record hot days for 5 days in a row into next weekend. There's the beginnings of the rain chances next weekend into early next week.
The manhunt is still on for an escaped prisoner in Pennsylvania. What we know and when officers expect to have him back behind bars. A Pennsylvania community remains on high alert as the search for a convicted killer who escaped from prison is on its 5th day now. Over the weekend, the fugitive was spotted on a doorbell camera not too far from the prison. NBC's George Solis has the latest on this manhunt.
Yeah, Pennsylvania State Police now taking the lead role in this ongoing manhunt for Daniello Cavalcante, who's been on the run now for 5 days. Officials saying there have been 4 confirmed sightings, including that one from that doorbell surveillance video. And this is all taking place within a 2-mile radius outside of the Chester County prison where he escaped from. Officials still not saying how he managed to escape. Officials today telling residents coming back from the long holiday weekend to make sure nothing is out of place. In one of those video clips, they noted that he is wearing that backpack. They are making sure that he does not find any more resources out there that'll help him sustain being out there any longer as they continue to search for him in this densely wooded area. One other thing of note, officials saying that they are now playing an audio recording of Cavalcante's mother from helicopters and patrol cars. His mother asking him to turn himself in there, hoping he has a change of heart and actually does the right thing. Meanwhile, this community remains on edge. There's still a number of road closures in this community. A lot of officers with long guns and tactical gear going into these densely wooded areas. People saying they thought this would be over within a few days. It is now going on day 5. Officials hoping this comes to a peaceful resolution. Many still wondering if they will be able to go back to work, have their children return to school tomorrow. So again, that is an ongoing search that is still happening. That is the latest here in Chester County. Back to you.
That was NBC's George Solis reporting for us tonight. Well, coming up tonight on NBC Primetime, it's an all-new 2-hour American Ninja Warrior starting at 7, and then The Weakest Link at 9. Then we're back with KXAN News at 10.